YouTube, what is going on? We're back with another video, and I've been getting tons and tons of questions as to which weapon is worth to pick, not only to select on the standard, but also for the Union rank 45. Now, at this point in the game, a lot of people are Union level 45. I'm actually not. I'm only at 37 because I've been doing account takeovers on my Twitch. If you need help with your account, character builds, how certain team comps work, synergies, what you should be focusing, anything, go into the chat, !help. We got a Google form. I got you. I think we got like a current waiting list of 20 people, but I'm helping as many people as possible, hologram bosses, whatever it is. But I'm not there yet, but you probably are. So the one thing I would like to really bring out to everyone's attention is, depending on obviously all of this is going to be depending on how your account looks, right? But depending on how you did with your standard selector, your standard initial 40 pulls, as well as if you've completed this yet, this is going to depend. This is really going to help you decide what you should be picking, as well as where you should be spending your standard wishes going forward, which we'll go to after. First, let's cover the weapons. So all of these weapons are solid. A quick basic rundown. Let's just give you TLDR. This is the rectifier. It gives you double attack, which is very good for someone like Encore. This is their second best in slot. These are really all based around energy regen, kind of similar to the Fav set if you're a Genshin Impact player. Increase energy regen by 12.8 when dealing basic attack damage. Increase basic attack damage by 3.2%, stacking up to 5 times. Effect lasts for 8 seconds. For the Abyss Surges, double attack, very good as well. Someone like Ling Yang, who it runs off of double attack, right? Increase energy regen when hitting a target with a resonant skill. Basic attack damage bonus by 10%. This is going to be his best in slot because you need him. You use his resonant skill to in between his basic attacks, and this is going to buff his basic attack damage even more by 10%. Again, nothing too crazy there. Static Mist is goated. I'm just letting you know. Crit rate, increase energy regen by 12.8% when outro skill is cast. Increases the incoming resonator's attack by 10%. Wow, do you see a pattern here? Energy regen and attack percent increase. This is really, all of these weapons are valid. I'm going to just tell you right now, all of these weapons are amazing, and they're very, very solid. We're going to go specifically into what's the best, but again, the quick overview. They're Broadblade, Luscious Razor, double attack, Calchero / Gion if you didn't get Gion's weapon. Increase energy regen by 12.8% when resonant skill is cast. Resonant separation damage is resonant separation damage bonus is increased by 7%, stacking up to 3 times. And then the sword, which is another goated weapon. Emerald of Genesis, crit rate with attack. Increase energy regen by 12.8% when resonant skill is cast. Increase the attack by 6%, stacking up to 2 times. Off rip, the 2 best weapons in total, in general. I'm not saying to pick these 2 yet, although, spoiler, these are the 2 I would pick, is going to be the Emerald of Genesis and the Static Mist. The reason being is this. As I've spoken about previously, crit rate is very hard to come by. Unless you are running a weapon with crit rate is going to be nearly impossible to get unless you have perfect echoes, right? So you get 5 echo slots. Let's just say you get a main crit rate stat here, and this is getting you to 22 when you max this out. Hopefully, you still get crit rate as a substat, which I didn't. Then you need to pray that you get crit rate on every single one of these other echoes to potentially get anywhere from 50 to 70 crit rate. And again, that's if you're really, really, really lucky. You're gonna get the main 22 from your first echo. Then, sometimes crit rate only rolls with 6. Sometimes it could roll to 8. I got one to roll 9 here. It's very up in the air. So the more you can have crit rate as a main weapon, it eases the stat restrictions on your echoes, and it makes you feel a little bit less worried about being occupied with echo farming till the end of time. With that being said, so that is why, just off rip, not even going into the functionalities and the synergies of the weapons, why these 2 are so massive and they're so valid. So now that we've covered that, which one should you pick when you hit Union rank level 45? Again, 100% depending on your characters, but me personally, I would pick off rip the sword. Why would I pick the sword off rip? Not even looking at any other characters that you have, right? Completely free to play standard and completely free to play view of this. You are 100% going to start off with Yang Yang. You will be getting the Rover, and then you will be getting Sanhua. Now, the amazing thing about this video game is that in the Tower of Adversity, if you wanted to use all 3 of these on completely separate teams, because you need 3 teams of 3 most of the time, unless you're really goated with the sauce, you can share the sword in between all of them. So you don't necessarily need to get multiple dupes or multiple copies, although it's not bad. Like, if you got the money for it and you're gonna do it, like, bro, go for the multiple swords, right? But you can share this with all of them. And the Havoc Rover in particular is a top tier DPS, and Sanhua is a top tier sub DPS and synergizes with so many teams, whether it's Calchero, whether it's Ling Yang, whether you're running Yinlin as a main DPS and you're using Sanhua as the sub DPS. It really goes deep. And with future DPSs that will be coming out, Sanhua just synergizes with everyone because she stacks her Concerto energy so fast that she is constantly going to be swapping out. So you're constantly going to be giving your on-field person a massive buff. With their standard attacks, it gives you 38%. So that's always a great suggestion. And again, Rover's just a massive DPS. Massive new capabilities with his ult and his echo combination. And Yang Yang's just not bad, you know? I mean, I personally... You know, I'm not getting any weapon in particular for Yang Yang ever, but her energy regeneration is very solid. And on top of the energy regeneration from, you know, the sword, you're looking at a pretty decently built Yang Yang, right? So off rip, if I had to recommend something to pick, not even look at any of your other characters, the sword is a must pull because it is just universally, it could be used for so many characters, you know, 1, 2, if you have dungeon, that's 3. It could just be used for so many characters, right? The other one that, again, we should be picking is one that I actually have, the Static Mist on my Mortefi. Now, the Static Mist, again, I have 36 over 163. 15% of that is coming from my Static Mist. Now, obviously, it's not fully leveled yet, so I'll get more as it goes up. But I have had pretty bad luck with my crit rate stats. And so, at least this is going to alleviate it a little bit. I mean, look at this. I have bad luck in general. I have a Spectro bonus on a Spearback for a Moonlit set. What the fuck is happening here, brother? It's rough out here. It's rough out here. But with Mortefi, his whole thing is he doesn't need a ton of ER, and instead of running the cadenza with him, which I'm actually going to link a video in the description, shout out to my boy Limbo Sauce, who did this whole thing and how really it's a waste if you run the cadenza on Mortefi. The Static Mist is 100% better because he only needs about 120 to 130 ER requirements, if I remember that correctly off the top of my head, and he can get out 3 skills with his burst, plus its Concerto energy, and then swap out to the next person, and then it says here, incoming Resonator's attack buff by 10%. So not only you're increasing their incoming attack by 10% with this, you're getting higher crit rates for his coordinated strikes, but he is also going to be buffing their heavy attack damage going on field as well. So it is a massive buff for your main DPS. This is a great sub DPS option. Even if you don't use more, and let's say you love using Alto for whatever reason, he kind of cute though. It's still not a bad option on him. Like, let's say if you're running, you're running Alto with Gion as opposed to running Mort with Gion, whatever the case may be. This is still a very overall well-rounded weapon for a gun wielder. Now, if you don't like them, right? Because Chixia is a main DPS, so you're not really going to get too much out of this for running this on Chixia. You're not a fan of Chixia, you don't like Alto, and you don't have Mort, because Mort is gone. He's not on this current banner anymore. You're saying, well, Ethan, do I really still need the Static Mist? Me, personally, I'm not going to lie to you. I still think it is a good pickup, but obviously, I wouldn't use my focus, my immediate 45 selector on the Static Mist, especially if you don't have any good units at the moment. Again, for the immediate selector, I think the sword is the way to go. Off rip. No matter who you have, regardless, because it's going to work for those 2 main units, Sanhua and Rover, off rip. Now, if you're not going with the Static Mist, like, Ethan, well, what do I do here? Because honestly, I have Calchero. Well, let's go over to Pridewind real quick. This is another one of those things where it really depends on what your account looks like. So Pridewind is actually giving the Lustrous Razor the 100% better than Verdant Summit, which is 100% true, this was Gion's weapon. Again, not here anymore. Gion's weapon is only here for a stat stick for Calchero, right? So Gion's weapon is giving an ungodly amount of crit damage. Actually, if I could show you real quick, I will show you right now. Gion's weapon is giving 35.9% crit damage. It's not even fully leveled yet. So, and what is this? Increased damage bonus by 12%. Every time Intro or Resonance Liberation is cast, heavy attack damage bonus is increased by 24%. Not really that useful on him because he is not proccing off of heavy attacks. You're only using your heavy attack when your Forte Circuit is full, not in your burst form. And that's one every maybe 5 or 6 seconds. So, but it is a massive crit damage buff. Why is this other weapon better? It's better because of the fact that it's going to be giving you the double attack percent, which he scales off of attack. And then, as they say here, a good amount of energy regen to save at least one substat on gear to be reallocated to better use of stackable resonance liberation attack bonus that ramps up your resonance skills. Translation, double attack, he's scaling off of attack. More attack equals more damage. Attack, attack, attack. I think I've said it 572 times already. And then you can reallocate other stats in different spots. If you don't have Gion, but you still want to use Kalkaro, and you're like, well, I don't really want to waste my, 5-star immediate selector or my standard pulls on that weapon because I have someone like Encore. I don't have Encore yet, right? But I really want to get Encore's rectifier because I'm not going to be able to secure Yinlands for Encore. The other thing is you could buy the battle pass if you're not free to play. And the Autumn Trace is very good for Calchero, and it's actually still very good for Gion as well. To the point where I could see people going Autumn Trace, which gives you crit rate. And just to go over what it actually does, it says here, increase attack by 4% upon dealing basic attack or heavy attack up to 5 times. This effect lasts for 7 seconds, and can be triggered 1 time for every 1 second. So you're getting an attack buff, which they scale with, plus crit rate as the main stat, which again is going to alleviate a lot of the pressure off of getting more crit rate substats. The more crit rate you have, the better. You want to have as much crit rate as possible because you have a higher chance of critting, right? It's still a 1-to-2 ratio type of deal. But again, I could see this being a 100% option if you are not free to play. If you're free to play and you don't want to buy the battle pass, go for it. But that is also an option on why you could skip it and maybe come back to that on a different day. The other one that I could see a lot of people going for is the rectifier, is the cosmic ripples because of Encore. This is Encore's second best in slot weapon simply because, again, increased basic attack damage and the basic attack damage bonus stacking 3.2 times for 5 seconds. Now, why is this so good for Encore? Encore is mainly going off of basic attacks. So if you have Sanhua, you're swapping into Encore from Sanhua's Concerto Energy. You're already getting a basic attack damage bonus from that off rip of 38%. Plus, you're getting the energy regen on here, which is very nice for Encore. And then you are getting the basic attack damage bonus 3.2% up to 5 times. 5, 10, 15, 15.6 or some shit. You're getting 15.6% attack increase plus a 30 attack increase from Sanhua, plus the energy regen that you're getting, so that way you can get your burst up and get as more basic attacks out as possible that are doing even higher damage. This is just a very, very, very solid option. So if you're saying, well, listen, you know what, Ethan, honestly, I really don't need the sword because I'm not really looking at that right now. I have Commando Conviction. I got a few copies of these. I have Scale Slash, which is already giving me energy regen as a sub. I don't really need it. That's valid because Commando Conviction is a very good sword. You see this here, double attack when intro skill is cast, increase attack by 15% lasting for 15 seconds. So you're still getting a massive buff from this on Sanhua, on the Havoc Rover, on Donjin. And so you want to use this as a back burner, as your backup, then that rectifier is a very solid option. Again, especially if you're running Encore or if you're running Yinland. I was lucky enough to whale. Shout out to my ma. Thank you for giving me the money and the funds. No, I'm kidding. But, even with Yinland, man, there's not a million great rectifiers in the game that are, I guess, I don't want to say free-to-play friendly, but the Jinzo Keeper's cool. You know what I mean? And then the actual Battle Pass rectifier is not horrendous either because I believe that is giving crit rate. Yeah, when Resonance Liberation is cast, increase the caster's attack by 15% lasting for 15 seconds, and it gives crit rate. But I feel like the rectifiers are a bit more far and few in between, so this is also a very valid option. Sidebar, another thing is when you have Verena, Cosmic Ripples is a waste. Don't go for Cosmic Ripples. If we're looking at Pride Win right now, if we see here, best weapons, 1, 2, 3. Nothing here is including Cosmic Ripples. Although she scales off of attack, you don't want to give her something with attack. You want to give her something that is going to give you the Concerto Energy, heals, whatever the case may be, energy regen, nothing of saying, hey, can you be a DPS, So Cosmic Ripples is not really valid on Verena. Don't roll it just for Verena. The Abyss Surges, I'm going to be honest with you, this will work for Johnson. This will work for Ling Yang, but this is not Yanwu's best in slot. Yanwu scales off of defense. while the other two scale off of attack. So if you're going for, you know, gauntlets for Yanu, that is not the play. You don't want to pick anything there. You want to pray to God you get the defense gauntlets, which I believe I have. If I could pull this up, let's see. You would pray you would get the Amity Accord. So that gauntlet is still solid. And if you're a Ling Yang main, if you're John Shin main, no complaints, no comments, no opinion from myself on how their kits operate. But based on best in slots, that is still very good. I think there's going to be a lot of less people who are those type of mains and few and far in between. So I don't think there'll be as much value of picking that over something like the sword or whatever the case may be. So that's probably going to be the least prioritized weapon, but still an option. But at the end of the day, you're saying, Ethan, what do I pick from the selector? Unless you're not maining Encore, I say go with the sword, especially if you are buying the battle pass. You know, we're already at the point where this battle pass is going to reset in, let's say, 9 days. And hopefully you picked something with crit rate here. If you didn't, that's fine. But if you are buying battle passes, I say pick the sword. And then I say you get something from the battle pass, either Autumn Trace or the augment from here. And then the next time you get the battle pass, you get whichever one here, vice versa, whichever one you missed. And then after that, start focusing on which weapon you want. Do you need the Broadblade for Kalkaro? Do you need it for Gion? Do you need the Cosmic Ripples for Encore? Do you need it for Yinlin? Whoever it may be. Now, the other thing is, Ethan's standard wishes are so hard to come by. Where should I be spending my standards? I'm actually not even spending my standards on Encore. As you can see, I only have 30 left here. I've been spending my standard wishes on the swords, the Emerald of Genesis. I've been spamming it on this. I actually was able to obtain a static miss just from wishing naturally by using my wishes here, as opposed to using it on the standard banner character. I feel like if you have a good core of characters and a good core of teams, I truly believe that you will find your standard wishes at better use focusing on the weapons that could better hit your current equipable characters, as opposed to using it and then let's say you get a copy of Johnshin, or if you get a Ling Yang, you know, instead. You're like, well, I already have Encore, I already have Calchero, and I already have Verena. I don't really need Ling Yang. Well, technically you could say, well, I need another DPS for the tower, but you shouldn't be rushing for tower completions. You should be trying to lock down your first team, build them efficiently, then lock down your second team. And then you can efficiently go on and so on and so forth. So I truly believe you will find the most bang for your buck on your standard wishes on these banners. And then that way, let's say once you get to Union level 45, you get your Emerald of Genesis. Okay, now I want to get my Static Mist. After I get my Static Mist, okay, now I want to get my Cosmic Ripples. After that, I want to get my Lustrous Razor. This is also a guarantee. You 100% know what you're getting after 80 pulls or potentially more. Prior to that, you know, obviously you can get some other stuff in between, but there is no guarantee on this. The only guarantee is you might get these 2 characters that are kind of mid, and then the other 3 that are pretty decent. That is why I truly believe do whatever you want. But my personal opinion is, if you have a solid enough account and you like the characters and you like your synergy, whether it is these 2 characters or not, use your standards where you're going to get something guaranteed. With that being said, let me know if this helped you. I love you. Mwah. I'll see you in the next one. Boobies.